Okay. Hi everyone, Anthony here. This is Aquascaping on the Fly Living Art Creations. Welcome to the channel and welcome to anyone who's new and has just found me by accident. That's amazing. You're welcome on board. This is the DIY channel where we try to forage for our own supplies, meaning rocks, sand, gravel, hardscape, and we prep them and then we put them into our builds. Now on my channel, I do both terrariums and aquascaping. So when I go out foraging, I'm looking for something that I can put into either one of the two types of builds that I'm going to be working on at any given time. Okay, come on, I'm trying to get my words out here. And also, I want to welcome back my FlyScrapers Collective. I'm so glad I said it right that time. I've been having trouble that rolling off the tongue. And yes, I picked the name myself. So for those of you who are new, or if you haven't seen one of the videos where I've been talking about it, because it's just been introduced a video ago, that's what I named my subscribers. We hit 300. I'm super excited. I'm so thankful. And what I'm most thankful of is not just the subscriptions. Those are amazing and that's great. And it's validation that you want more content like this. But it's the likes and the comments. The comment sections are amazing. I just had a new subscriber that I think commented on 5 different videos in one day. And literally we just kept copying back and forth all through the day because they would see another video they liked and they would say something about that video. And it's just a huge confirmation that I am on the right path. Now, I am very spiritual and I was spiritually led to create aquascaping on the fly. I have no experience in this, and so my whole thing is to document it as a beginner going through the stages. And I try to be very methodical in going through the stages, but a lot of my builds are all spiritually led. I get inspiration as an artist, and then I become hyper-focused on doing it until I get it to its perfection, or what I think is my version of perfection, until I find I did something wrong, and then I got to go back and fix it, which happens a lot. But in today's video, we're going to focus just on the plants. I recently did a video. I've had a lot of videos lately about shrimp, and I'm tired of talking about shrimp. I'm just like, okay, let's move on to another subject. But it was very important to cover my shrimp progress and my water progress. So if you guys are new to the channel, check out the videos that deal with setting up, like I have full tutorials on here almost on all of my subjects. And the water is one of the most important things if you're new. So just use your own research, but you can find it in my channel and you can see my real world experiences. Now, getting on to plants. One of my biggest takeaways is for a tip on the plants, because this is a behind the glass series, which talks about my quick tips that I have for anything that I've done and what I would change going forward, or what would be better going forward. The first thing I can think of is don't overbuy. That is a trap I have fallen into lots of times. And I've even in the past bought plants to put into a build that was already in concept, but I hadn't started the build. And I have had anywhere from 20-gallon to down to like a 10-gallon tub that had the same water that is in my aquariums, all my aquariums, same water. And that my plants won't survive without being in an enclosure. By that I mean, they're in there with the same water, they're getting the same current that the tanks are getting. There's no pumps on any of my tanks, so you can't say that's anything to do with it. And they're getting fertilized. I bought a whole pack of bovitis and a Godzilla bucephalandra. And they all just completely died. Another plant that I historically struggle with, and I'm just amazed that people put out videos that have gorgeous Java fern on it. My Java fern just, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. My water parameters are fine. It gets the liquid fertilizer every single week. It's just a plant that I can't seem to get it to grow in the right conditions. So going forward, I really am probably not ever going to try to do Java fern again. So one of my big takeaways, and I get this a lot, are who the suppliers I use, and I want to cover that really quickly. I've been going with, I think it's an Aquarium Plants Factory and Boost Plants. Now, I'm going to say one of the reasons why I'm doing two places is that I'm a huge fan of Bucephalandra. And all the tanks I have it in, it's doing beautifully. And I'm so impressed with the colors that it shines out with. So even when you're looking at the description, some will say, oh, it has a brownish color, it has a purplish color, it has a bluish color. You may not see it in the photos, but when it's in your tank, you can pick up on those hues of those colors when that plant is healthy and when it's thriving. Especially if you want to get a plant that's the Boost variety we're talking, that the underside of the leaf is a completely different color than the top side of the leaf. That makes for some very interesting color variations when you're looking through your tank. Because let's face it, a lot of the plants focus on a green theme, and if you want something to stand out, you're going to look for something that's going to be the biggest bang for your money. And for me, I am a huge fan of Boost, and I also love Anubias. And we're going to cover one of my favorite Anubias, which is a Pinto, and then also a Golden, because they are completely different colors from the typical dark green leaves that you get on everything else. Now, that being said, they do not get planted in your substrate. And I read these messages all the time, especially on Facebook, about people wanting to know how you plant both of those types of plants. They're epiphytes. That means their root system does not go in your substrate, meaning you either got to wedge it somewhere or you have to glue it on. And I am notoriously horrible at gluing. That may be why my Godzilla Boost died, and it may be why my Bobitis died. It could be me because of my gluing. And I'm going to show you one example of a horrible gluing that I did in my Garden of Eden tank. And you can see, when you see what I show you, you'll be like, oh yeah, that looks really, really bad. So for me, gluing is not an option going forward. I look for hardscapes because I find my own hardscapes. I look for hardscapes that have natural crevices in them that I know I can wedge a small plant into it. And I guarantee you, the plants will begin to attach themselves to it. Not right away. All the plants we have are almost all slow growing unless you get a stem plant. So it's going to take them months of having a stable environment with the lighting and the fertilizer to be able to start establishing themselves. I'm going to show you my tanks, which have been around for 4 months. And I'm going to show you up close how you can see how the rhizome really works with attaching itself. I'm sorry, not the rhizome, but the runners really work for that plant to attach itself to something so it doesn't get swept away. Because all my plants have a little 5-watt, they're called fountain pumps, but I put them at the top level of my tank so I can have a little water break motion just on the top. And the shrimp, because I only have shrimp in my tanks, the shrimp love it. The shrimp love swimming upstream against it, against that current. So it's a very slow current. And it's nice because when the lighting is on, you can see the lighting come down through your tank and it reflects through the current. So it's making these light rays come down, and it's just magical. So that's, for me, that's the only tech that I put into my tanks. There's no pump, there's no filter, there's nothing going on like that. It's just a little tiny pump at the top just to circulate the water around. Because number one, if I want to hear the water, I can move the pumps up to the very top and you can hear a ripple effect, which is really, really nice if you're wanting to meditate. And then when you don't want to hear anything, you just want to see the action, you just move it below the water. And you can see on my tanks how I've got them set up. But let's get started. The two biggest we're going to talk about, of course, is going to be the Boost and the Anubias, because I've had the biggest success with those. And then one of my stem plants that I absolutely love is, I'm gonna say it wrong. It's Alternathia or Alternathia Rosenvig, and I'm using the mini, which is a 3-inch to 4-inch. It's kind of a pink plant, and it's doing very well in my tanks. It's doing so well that I've already been able to propagate some of it and replant them into other tanks as well. And then right now I'm trying to get my Vallisneria to grow. I've had it where it died out. I've had stem plants die out. And it's primarily because I had stem plants and I had large mystery snails that came with a free delivery of some shrimp. Well, the mystery snails would go up the plant, dislodge all the leaves on it, and then the stem, of course, would die. So I lost all my stem plants from the beginning because I had mystery snails in there. And so now I pulled the mystery snails out, but I'm still having snail problems because they have found ways to breed, and they're in almost all of my tanks. So that could be because I pulled a plant out, had eggs on it, I moved it into another tank, didn't even think about quarantining it, and then there you got it. You've got more snails. So I don't like snails because even the ones in Blackfish, we're going to start in Blackfish first. Blackfish is my political statement tank named after the SeaWorld documentary. And in that tank, I use local rocks from a riverbed that had local snails on it. And those suckers don't want to leave. And they do put holes in your plants. So that's a bad thing there. So anyway, let me get the camera turned around so we can focus on each one of the tanks. And I'll point out the highlights of how you can see after 2 to 3 months what you're going to expect to get out of your plants, and how I'm going to show you the effect of how when I overbought, now I'm pulling plants out because it's not the look I had intended from the very beginning, from the artist perspective that we operate from. So those of you who are new, thanks for showing up today. My regulars, you're awesome. Let's have a great video, and thank you for being here, and let's get started. All right, so here we have Blackfish, which is a 20-gallon long. The structure, the Blackfish structure itself, was found exactly like this. I did no alterations. It has about a maximum of 4 inches from fitting into this tank. And when I flip around and do the reverse side of it, you're going to see it has a beautiful tail. It has this magnificent dorsal fin, and the nose in the front, this side here, just tapers down to a very small part. And it's right about here is where it ends. And this is the part that's been, that looks more skeletal. What I like about this, okay, so for those of you who know the documentary, it's about Telecom, the whale that, you know, I think killed more than one trainer. I think it was 2 trainers. And it's about how these majestic animals are kept in these tiny pods, and they're basically brought out just to perform tricks like slaves. And they have no social life available. They're thrown in to strangers that they don't know the other, you know, sea life that's in there with them. They've been ripped away from their families. I mean, it's just horrible. I know SeaWorld has this whole thing about, oh, we save animals, blah, blah, blah. No, you still keep them trapped in these little cells for most of their life that they can't even swim in. I mean, it's just horrible. So my version of this is, Telecom has since passed. And this is Telecom in my version, where it's the skeletal remains has sunk into the bottom of its water supply. And so the bright side on this is that Telecom now has become a refuge for all these plants that are on it. So I'm trying to make my political statement, but turn it into something positive, that he's free now, and look at the life that is blooming around him. Now, the one thing you're going to notice, I do not have any fish yet in any of my tanks because I want to get my shrimp to where they need to be. And you will see no shrimp. If you see a shrimp, let me know. If you see a shrimp swim by, put a comment with a 911 on it immediately, a fire alert or something, because I've been trying to get all the shrimps out of here because I'm introducing a new color into this tank. I had put in here put in, that sounds funny. I'd placed in here blue velvets, and the day they arrived, only 18 of them died, 2 survived. I ordered 20 because it was too hot. It was during summer and the ice pack melted, and I knew when I opened the box it was going to be problems. But they had offspring. Well, but the offspring were 3 different sets of colors, none of them being the blue that the parents were. So over the last 2 months, I've been trying to pull all of the babies out, which they are very crafty at hiding in there. So I pulled all the babies out, and I actually have a tank now that has black babies in it, red babies, and the pale aqua blue babies. So that's a plus, that the babies out of here have now refurbished 3 other tanks, which I'm excited about that. So going forward, this is going to have, I believe, the sun-kissed neocardenias in it. So I wanted something that would be a pop of color. So now that we are talking about plants, though, pay attention, and then we won't talk about it anymore. So there is an Anubias supernova here that has these beautiful arching leaves. And then there's a butterfly, Anubias butterfly, which I love. Okay, I bought those after the effect. That I thought when I put this together that it was not near enough coverage for my shrimp. Boy, was I wrong. Okay, this whole enclosure from here all the way to there is nothing but a cave system. And most of this up inside this area is hollow on the inside. The shrimp can go up in here and stay in there all day long and feed all day long without never coming out from under the structure. So I'm going back to my original intent of removing these plants because they were an afterthought. That was me freaking out, thinking I didn't have enough, and which I really did. It's just that they're too bulky in here, and it takes away from me from the structural component of the build itself. So now let's zoom in. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about when your plants start to adhere to the structure themselves. Now, I told you I'm bad at gluing, so just to show you really quick how bad I am. You see those 3 round little thingies there? Yeah, those are plants. That's Anthony's attempt at gluing. They are coming out. Hey, all right, so I'm not going to go any further than that. Okay, so position it on this one. Okay. Now, this one right here, you can still see. You can see the glue around it. I tried to put glue. There was actually 3 holes here. And now you can kind of see it in this one right there. You know, you can see there's a little bit of the hole. I was trying to wedge these little tiny plants in these holes, and this one would not go in. And so I thought, I'll just put a little glue on it. Oh, well, that little glue just spread like wildfire, and now you can see it, and it's on the front. It drives me insane. But that's nothing compared to what I'm going to show you on another build that truly just is embarrassing that I was so bad at it. But here, okay, so we're getting on to the fins here. Now you can't see the rest of the fin, the back fish, because it goes down. There's a rock hiding it on this side. I tried to put things in all the crevices. Oh, wrong way. Okay, so where this one Java fern leaf is sticking out here and here, this goes up into another little hollow section right through here. And yes, you do see another attempt at gluing right here because I wanted them to stay put. That is the same boost that's on the other side. I'm not sure it's going to let me. No, it's not going to let me. You're going to lose focus. That's about as close as I can get. Okay, they're not dead. That's what I want to start with. They're not dead. That part is amazing. They are not dead. I'm happy about that. You can see here, oh, this is another thing we need to talk about. You see that fishing line? Blackfish is not attached to any of these rocks. It goes underneath it, it wraps around, and it's held in suction cups to the glass itself. Now here's some Anubias, Nana Petite. Now, some of this I did glue, but it's in such a cluster that the glue is hidden. But look, see how its little attachers are coming out and they're attaching themselves to the build. Now, I went a little high on this as far as water level. Okay, so there's one, you can't see it, but it's this one here, and it is right at the top of the water level. So I do have to keep this one. It's kind of an experiment. It's not growing any faster than any of the other ones, regardless of what people say online that, oh, if you have these like in a riparian where they're halfway submerged. Okay, it's not how it's working on my tanks. Now look at this. Here you clearly have this one that is sending out runners to attach themselves. And that's what you want. That's the healthy version of it. And you can see it right down through there on the front side. I didn't build this with the intent that it was going to be viewed from two sides, but this was the front side, so I kind of focused more on the front side. Now, these Anubias that are down here, they're not glued in. They are just wedged in to the crevices. There's big crevices in there, and they're all just holding each other in. So I'm assuming by now they've gone through the part where they're trying to. Okay, this one is a perfect example. Another couple of pieces that I had that I've glued but are now sending off little leaves of its own. And here is how I'm talking about. I'll take a small plant and wedge it into place. I just moved this one in there because it broke off from its rhizome. And I thought, okay, perfect opportunity. It can go right there. It can grow right inside this little crevice because the whole foreground of blackfish. Okay, now here's a boost. I love these. I'll try to put the names. I have, what I'll do is after each, we're going to film each tank separately. After each tank, I will go back into my history and I will pull out my little text boxes that talk about each one of these plants. So if you're interested in the plants, you're going to be able to see what they were originally and what their parameters are. I love this because it's a beautiful formation. The coloring is gorgeous. It stands out above because this is quite, okay, so the Anubias is, an Anubias. There's lots of leaves that look like this. But you can tell in this Anubias, some of the newer leaves that are coming out are a little lighter, which is amazing. But the boost I am a huge fan of. So you can see here, the boost has gone all the way to front. Now you're looking at the front, and I'm going to back up. This cluster of plants and that rubber band you see, that's the supernova all tied together because they're loose. And I just want to keep them in place until I get them into the next tank. So they're not going to be in here any longer. This is going to be something that I take out. But I do love it, and I love the butterfly. So the butterfly is amazing because let me show you the butterfly. If you want a plant, make sure, there you go. If you want a plant that has nice big leaves, look how the butterfly looks. It's amazing. So it has to be wedged. Look, now there's another boost that has came out. It's floating around. So I don't know whether it'll go back. I don't know if I'm gonna put it back in or put it into another build. I do have a tank that I'm wanting to buy and to start another one. Okay, no, I don't want you floating on that side. You stay on this side. There we go. Stay right there. Okay. So now let's flip to the other side and look at the Java fern. Okay, so here's the back side, which in a lot of ways I think is the prettiest side. Now you can fully see the tail fin, how it arches up and comes down. I rescaped this a couple of weeks ago to add more gravel to where the tail fin was actually now resting on gravel. It wasn't before, there was a big gap there, but I wanted it to rest on it to show that he is just gently settled at the bottom. This is amazing here. There's this nice open section that when the shrimp are in here, they love this. They love just grazing all along on this gap in there. And then here's another section of the caves that goes from this point all the way up to the front. So they can go completely under it without being discovered. But let's zoom in. Java fern doesn't look really that bad here, but it's not growing that well. That's my problem with it. I'm sorry about the cords on this side. This is the back side. All right, so you can see it's got some yellowing in it, which is unfortunate. Here's a closer look at the tail. Now, when the babies are in here, like the small shrimp, they love grazing in the little crevices of the wood. It's really beautiful to see. Sorry, there's my faucet. What I like about this is I have a great view when I'm, standing at the kitchen doing something. And a nice rock system. They love being on that. I call that pride rock for this tank. Every tank has a pride rock, because there's a rock that all the shrimp love to go to that's on here, and I haven't even introduced the fish yet. Okay, so now you can see the back side, and here's the part that comes out the top. Again, I found this intact. Mother Nature took care of me. I always say a little prayer to Mother Nature before I go out, and I usually always find something that I can use. And when I found this, I knew immediately what it was. This immediately was blackfish for me. Oh, okay, hang on. All right, so there's your potting shot. So after this, you'll have your little text boxes, and let's move on to the next tank. Okay, be prepared to be shocked. This is the tank where I did the most hideous glue. I will zoom in and you will see it and you go, yeah, that looks nasty. You are looking at Garden of Eden. Yes, biblical reference. Yes, spirituality. These two pieces I found together. Now, they are not connected. I have glued them together, but when I found these, I had to put them in one hand to walk, and they just kind of fell into this position where this would be Adam curving into Eve. Now he has a curve on the back side here where there's plants right in this middle section. But basically what's happened is this is Eve receiving mode, and here is Adam propped up. It is exactly the metaphor you think it is. When I found those, I immediately knew, okay, Adam and Eve, that's perfect. That's what I'm going to do. Originally, this was going to be in the middle of the tank. Until a couple of days later, I was in a dried up riverbed and I found my serpent. And if you will see, these rocks were placed here first. The serpent came later because I did not like Adam and Eve in the center. I thought it looked stupid. So I moved them to the right. When I brought this stick home, it fit perfectly. It's the exact size of this tank. It goes all the way to this end, and it curves just like it would on the rock there. So you can actually lower it, but I have to force it around the back of Eve, and I don't want to mess her up because she's got thread on her holding some plants in. So I try to be careful. But yes, this part goes there. This angle still fits. Looks amazing, but for ease of me taking it in and out and getting it cleaned and keeping it elevated, so I can tell when the shrimp are on it, it's being elevated right now. So what you have in here is some of the Pinto Anubias, which is the green and white, and then you have golden right here, golden. Now, Garden of Eden is a set of a trio, and they all share the same characteristics. So the substrate, the rocks, and a lot of them the hardscape. The part that I want to focus on for here is I want to show you what we're talking about, how even all the plants eventually will make themselves attached. And you can see it right here. See how golden is sending off runners? And these are my oldest tanks. These are the ones that are 4 months old. Blackfish is not that old, but they're already attached. Not this one here, but the ones on the back, they're attached already to the wood. And Eve has even a more dramatic display of how hers are attached. I mean, look at that. That one is molded to that stick there. So that's amazing. So that's what you want. These are not glued in at all. Remember, I'm all about wedging them if I can. And when you wedge them, this is what you can expect. Now here's another one. Here's a boost. So the boost, come on. See if we can go in more. You can see the boost is in a crevice right there. But look, it's already sending out runners, and it's not been in there that long. I moved it from another tank, and I put it into that crevice there, and I thought, okay, it'll be perfect because it will fill that little void there. And then we have the same thing going on with this boost right here in the middle. I had originally water sprite planted in here, and it all died. There's very little soil in there because of Adam and Eve's wood structure. But of course, boost doesn't need soil, so it's perfect for boost. It just lodged itself in. And let's look. Oops. Well, let me go any closer, will it? It looks like all of its runners are going to the bottom side of Adam. They're following onto Adam. So the plant is actually attaching itself to the backside there of this. The pinto, I've been looking. You can see a little bit of action for the pinto. I try not to move it. Every time I clean, though, I was pulling them out so they weren't attaching themselves. That was my fault. But now I'm just decided I'm just going to leave them, and they're doing a lot better because I'm just leaving them alone. I mean, they are wedged in the rocks, yes. Not right here, but right here, because they will float out. So you can tell the rocks are glued together. There is the tiniest of a gap, and I have just shoved them down into that gap. And then there's also one right there at the base, which I call the booty. This is the booty. It's just like a booty. There is one there at the base, and what you can't see, which, let's turn the camera around so you can see it. Don't get offended, you're looking at the booty. Okay, so the snail in here is like, shrimp in there is like, no, I'm not on camera. You can see how, I just hate to say this, but it's going up the, which would be the crack. So it's going to form, it's going to go from here all the way, it's going to go all the way around that one rock that looks suspiciously like a booty. And when I built it this way, yes, I kind of thought that, but I was like, oh, okay, I'm not, okay, while we're in here, that's just, to me, it's funny. Here's the, that shrimp that you just saw is a red velvet, not red velvet, it's a blue velvet. And it's red because that's kind of common when you, okay, what about there? See the tails? See if they'll let me get in. Oh, see, they're on the stick. Oh, now we can see the stick. Look at my horrible gluing on the stick. You see all those white patches everywhere? Yeah, that's me trying to glue moss, Christmas moss, to the stick. Looks horrible, but hopefully it will eventually fill in and I won't have to worry about that. Let me get you back out to the front of it again. Oh, see, there you go. You can see it right there. It's all that white, all the white you can see. That it's just so sad. I'm so sorry about that. I made it look probably way more horrible that it needs to. Now, you do have a little bit of unsuccessful growth with Vallisneria, and I just put in some dwarf Sagittaria. So I have dwarf Sagittaria right here. That is Vallisneria right there. You've got another Sagittaria right there that I'm trying to do. So those you do, put in your substrate, and they have root tabs. So I'm trying to get them to grow. But now all aquarium plants grow slow. So they've not even been in there a month because I rescaped. Oh, looks like there's one of the reds. Yes. Okay, now look at this coloring. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful, but when you're expecting that you're getting blue babies and you get red like this, now I'm going to tell you the red is an amazing color. I pulled out a Blackfish 24 of these babies. None of them are solid red. They are all spotted red. So what I'm going to try and do is be a shrimp breeder, and I'm going to try and see if I can get these to successfully repeat this color, and then I'll pull the ones out that are not this color. Okay, so here's another one coming up. This one looks like it just has the red on the tail. It's a little more opaque. If it gets a little bit bigger than this, and I am not able to, it's not clear as the other ones. If I can see it again. There's more on the back side. Here's some more coming up. So it's glad you guys you're getting a little bonus here because you got more shrimp that are coming around. And I want you to see their color differences. It's a heads up because if your place you're buying your shrimp from didn't, if you don't have a high grade, and if they weren't controlling the breeding process, now they've all vanished. You're going to end up with different colors like this. So that's something we have to, pay attention to. Okay, so that's really all the plants we need to cover in Garden of Eden. One thing that's another tip we're talking about plants. This did not originally have gravel substrate capping on it, on the cap layer. And if you try to plant like dwarf hairgrass or even the Sagittaria, the aqua soil rolls around too much, and every time you clean the tank or do a water change, things move around. Your plants that are in the substrate get dislodged and they easily die. So that's another reason why I went in and rescaped this not even a month ago to put gravel on top of everything to cap that down. And then that's why I put new stem plants in there, just so we could see what might be happening with the difference. Okay, so I am seeing they're mostly in the back. There's a lot of the shrimp action is going on in the back. And right here, I want to see if I could get you a clear shot. Aha, see? Red, red. So they just have the markings of red. Some of them are clear, some of them are opaque, but it's just the markings of red on there. So just be careful when you're looking at your shrimp colors. So that's another bonus for another video. All right, let's move on to the next tank. Okay, here we've got turtle in motion. And so you're going to already see one similarity. Golden was in the tank to its left. Golden is in this tank. Also, I'll do a span out if I don't forget to show you how the rocks and the hardscape all are in symmetry to each other. There is more Nana Petite, little bit different variety right here, more of the Vallisneria, and yes, dwarf Sagittaria is here, and here's the Rosenvig that I was talking about. It's more prominent in the other tanks. I will introduce some of it more back into Garden of Eden. I just want to make sure that I have enough that's growing in these tanks. And one thing we do need to talk about, if I don't forget, are the houseplants that I've got growing out of here. So one of the reasons that prompted me for this video is this one right here. This little petite was the tiniest thing. It had one leaf forever. Then it sent out these two little runners that you can see right here that attached itself. Now this was a wedge. This was a tiny, tiny plant that I put in this little hole right there. It's wedging itself, and then immediately once it wedged, it put on 3 leaves. I was in shock. It has been in there since the beginning, has not done a thing. And then all of a sudden, it sent out the runners and then 3 leaves. It's like, okay, I've attached myself, I'm ready to grow. That's almost what it feels like in this tank. And honest to goodness, that is the reason why we're doing this video, is because how amazing that one little plant is doing against all odds. It's at the top, it's getting more sunlight than the rest, which is not really beneficial for it, because some of them, they do like medium lighting. And it's at the top of the water where the water is aerated more. Now in this tank, just like the garden tank, we do have shrimp in it. I don't know if, let me see if I can find them. This one are the ones that, basically it's bluer and blue jelly, because I've had 2 generations of live birth, and they are in here right now. You can see them. The blue jellies were right here. I call them blue jelly because they're very translucent and they look just like the blue jelly shrimp that you find online. There they are right there. See that? See that very, very pale aqua color? That's what a jelly will look like. And then there you see the baby. Look at the baby. The baby is much darker. It's a darker blue. I'm putting all the blues together. If the baby ends up being significantly darker, or if it actually ends up being black, I'll move it to the tank where there's black, and then the tank next to it that we're going to look at next is going to have blue dreams in it. I placed an order for 10 blue dream. Now the blue dreams are darker blue. So, and you guys, just for you guys to know, when you order a blue velvet, it's a cross between a blue dream and a cherry red and a really, because it can get some black and it gets some clear in there as well. So that's what makes it a very, very hard color as far as genetically. It's only going to pick up what's in its gene pool. So it does not guarantee you that color of a baby. But we're not talking about shrimp, but they just happen to be stealing the show. But here, pretty much the same. I wanted to point out really just that one, because the golden is doing the same thing. Now golden, this is not glued. I webbed a bunch of thread onto this first, and then I just webbed the golden Anubias into there, and they're just being held into place. But you can see the runners are coming down already. They're doing very, very well. See, they're all coming down, and I think it gives you such a cool look. And it's also nice when you get an up-close look at this, you see that this wood really has beautiful, this is what I was drawn to, Has beautiful coloring. There's, or is that, no, it's a shadow. And then down here, this one was relocated, so it's probably not had time to, well, no, I take that back. It's got 2 runners going down to attach itself. On the back side, there's more of the Vallisneria, because I really wanted it to be an entire background of Vallisneria to showcase the darkness of the build. Here's the turtle's snout, or its head. And what you don't see that you saw before I put the golden in here, there's a flipper. Well, you can't even see where I am. There's a flipper coming out right here, up to there. This is a U cut out. And then here's the top flipper up here. So there's actually 2 points, and the golden is in the middle of them, and it kind of loses its illusion of being a turtle because you can't see its little flippers. But that's the only place I could put the golden that I needed it to go to carry forward my theme. So let's move on to the next tank. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This is bird on a wire. Here's the bird right there. Here's the bird's tail feathers. Anubias golden are the tail feathers. This is Bus Leylina. This is more of your Rosenvig. There is the Dwarf Sagittaria is right here. More Vallisneria in the back. So see how this tank is incorporating all the plants of the previous 2 tanks. And what we have that's amazing in this one that we wanted to point out is this beautiful root system over here that's from a pothos that I picked up that was only 2 leaves. And this was when I was on a layover, and look what it's doing. It's going all the way to the top, and it's following the light. So I'm just letting it do its thing. In here, though, we want to focus on the Leylina. Look at this. Some of them have attached themselves directly to the curvature of bird, directly onto it. Then it has some that are going to go all the way down, and they're going to go into that substrate, and they're going to attach themselves to the substrate. I love how I decided when I did this one, when I was originally planting it, I wanted them to stand up like little trees, like little palm trees. I'm so glad I did that because I actually love how this looks. I think it's amazing. The top one does come out of the water. And again, like in the blackfish, it doesn't grow any faster. Like a lot of people would say it would. That is another Bus, and I can't remember who it is. Do not remember that one's name. But the stem plants in here have all had to be replanted because of the mystery snails. Remember I told you how the mystery snails just crawl over every plant. They dislodge it. These plants do not want to be bothered, and that's why I had to go in and rescape all 3 of these tanks because I did not have anything on top of the aqua soil. The aqua soil just moves too much. That's should be your biggest takeaway. If you're getting into the hobby and you're deciding what you're going to use as your substrate, okay, if you're going to use the aqua soil, please make sure you put something on top of it. If you put sand only, you need to be careful about the fish that you put in there because a lot of fish are going to dig. Shrimp will dig a little bit, but they don't stir that much up. But you could put stuff in there that absolutely will stir that sand up like crazy. That's why I chose 2 sizes of gravel because I want it to stay pretty much intact. This whole time I've been talking, I should have shown the whole tank. But I love this one. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom out and show you how these interconnect with each other. It's going to be a little bit, all right, so let's turn you off. And And let's see if this works. Not really. I think you're still going to be able to see it though. Okay, got to pull back. All right, maybe that's not going to work. Okay, I hate the glare. Nothing we can do about the glare. All right, let's do that. That is going to help. Technical difficulties. Okay, I won't use you. All right, so from here, if you can see it, Adam comes up, his trajectory would go like this, it would arch over, it turns into this section here, where if you'll notice Turtle goes straight, takes a dive all the way down, meets up with this side, and this side goes up and out. That's how the hardscape is connected to all three tanks. And all three tanks have the same type of large round rocks, and they all follow like the same color theme. So this is entitled the Trinity Series. So it's Garden of Eden, Turtle in Motion, and Bird on a Wire. And they each have at least one house plant that's growing out. So this one, we have a rattlesnake plant, and over there we have a monstera, and then I have a pepperoni, I think it is, that I'm trying to root in the very back there. I don't know if it'll work, but we're trying to. All right, one more to go. Okay, here we have Tree of Life. This was a really interesting build. I wanted to start out doing an irigumi style with a tree. And I found this blonde shrub in a drainage ditch, and I took it apart. And I originally was going to have this in a 10-gallon. And when I went to put it inside there, the tree was too big. So I went out and I purchased the 20-gallon long, which is what this one is. And the tree was too small. So I had to end up taking all the branches that I thought I wasn't going to use and added it and created this tree. I absolutely love it. It's off center on purpose. The tree is the imperfect that we're making perfect. Well, technically, when you look at this, you are not supposed to pay attention to the roots from the plants in it, because that was not in my original concept. I put them in there because I love them now, but it's not how I wanted it. This tree is representing a phoenix being reborn. When you first look at it, you would think the tree is dead. There's no leaves on the tree at the tops. There's no greenery anyway. You see moss, which in this tank, it's Christmas moss. And moss is your first sign that, okay, well, there is still life there. And then if you look at the base of the tree, that's where you see some Bus Aragon. And it's just sprinkled in at the base to show you that the tree is in fact not dead. It is being reborn again. And that's kind of its statement. And another thing that I did, this is the first one I did where I used the media bags to build up the back of it to give you that sense of height in the back. This tree goes glass to glass, so it is impossible to clean. The artist in me does not think about things like that. I just want to create, and so I have to live with it whenever I'm doing maintenance on it. And then also it has more of the Rosenvig, because originally when the Bus was put in here, the Bus was so small, and I really wanted a green and pink theme. I thought, oh my God, it's really going to look pretty. It's going to be different. And now as the Bus has picked up, I just think it looks even better. Now we're missing a lot of the Rosa because of the mystery snails. They were horrible in here. They were horrible. So finally when they got out, I did a rescaping in here twice. Once because I went in and I cut all the roses down and turned them into that little bowl right there. So that's the first generation of cut downs. They all were cut down, mowed down. The second time I did it, And by the way, that's called the Pink Lady. The second time I did it, it was because I had an outbreak of hairgrass and the lighting was too high. Of course, the lighting in this tank is just right above it. It's not like in the top tier tanks where it's much higher up. It's right here, and I had it on, I think I had it at the highest level. So it's since been turned down half. And I went in here with a toothbrush, drained almost all the water out with a toothbrush, cleaned all the sticks that had it on there, and was able to successfully pull out at least 95% of what was in there. And I had to take out the rocks that were infected, clean them, and replace them with replacement rocks because I was afraid not to put them back in there again. So I even hand pulled out each one of those pebbles that had algae on it. So I pulled them all out and replaced it with backups that I have. So I did a really good job because it's not in there now, and then the water now has been fixed to where it's only, halfway. But what I want to show you in here is the Christmas moss, which was put into certain places, and it's already been able to move itself around. The rose is doing a beautiful job. The Christmas moss, I had very little. I bought one little cup of it. So I was putting just little strands, and I did glue it, but I did a way better job on this one because I had the tree in my hand, and I was able to just put one little dab and put it on there and kept it moist. But you can see here, the Christmas moss is growing in there. Now, one other benefit, one of my Aragons, this one right here, has already bloomed. It had a bloom. I have a video on it. Check it out online. It's gorgeous. It's really kind of hard to get them to bloom underwater. Ooh, I just saw one of the blacks swim. Okay, there it is. Well, there you go. See that? That's one of the babies that was out of blackfish. This is a black version. Not solid black, black spots. So this tank has, that's like the darkest one. This tank has, let me check on it. This has 15 of the black babies in it. All right, let's zoom back a little bit. So here you can take a really detailed look. Even the Aragon is sending out its runners. I don't move these. I don't mess with them. I leave them alone. I want them to have that wildish look. So I just placed them where I thought they needed to go, just to give it the look that it was coming back to life. Here's where I did put some Christmas moss. It was on this root that goes down, 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 and there's more of it right there. So that there's more to this structure than you can see. It's under the gravel. And it's attached to a very big rock that's under the gravel. So I'm happy to see that there's Christmas moss going to be growing out here. And what was kind of cool is right there. This is a section of the Christmas moss that just decided to float there, attached itself, and then has grown really big. Now, I wouldn't have put it there because it's too high up. I was putting moss on the lower limbs at the base to show that it was growing from the bottom, because every time I collect moss, you don't usually find moss that high up. But my cluster of it is basically right here in the middle, where is going to be the focal point of the whole build. Now, to get this to get to the level of, okay, I have one Amano shrimp left alive, and it's in this tank. And he's such a little, or she, such a little character. The Amanos love the high wire, meaning they go all the way to the top. That's how I've lost them. They go to the top and they get out. To achieve my look of the Irigumi, I need to have a lot more of the Rosa in there. I need a field of pink. And so that's really what I want, is a field of pink. So just as okay, he or she is in the back there, swimming around. Yeah, I wanted you to get more of a close-up on the black ones, but I don't see that the black ones are showing up right now. And now this one, of course, cave system, you see where that one little oval egg-shaped rock is in the very middle, that's the caves behind that entrance right there. So they can go under. Oh, there are some babies. Now, some of the babies in here are super, super tiny. But I think that gives you the overall idea. The Rosa, I think, is amazing because it's a stem plant that when it reaches its height, you can cut it back. It will continue to grow. And I'm using it to propagate the rest of my plant life. Now, I wanted to show you freestyle. Let me stop this one, though. Okay, so freestyle. Look at the root system. This is a spotted Hoya. It's growing beautifully in this. Now these bowls are all experimental. See, both Java fern that looks like crap. Here's another one. Java fern, no, yeah, Java fern. I think, no, that's something else. That's not Java fern. But anyway, that looks amazing. Here's the look up of where the Monstera is. And here was the Monstera root system. Now what you can do is you can cut these roots back and then they'll thicken up. I'm just wanting this to grow because it's putting on leaves. I'm just going to leave it alone. Here in this one with my rattlesnake, it has this mass of white. You can always tell. You can literally cut all the roots off of the plant and then it will get these pure white roots, which are really striking. Now, when I introduce the new shrimp in here, it's going to be amazing because they're going to instantly have, you know, some place to hide. But here's a better look at how this is growing up the entire wall there. Okay guys, here's your last parting shot. I hope this video has resonated with you. I hope you've gotten some really good tips out of this and maybe avoid some of the problems that I have done, that I've had to go through. That's my intent, is for you to learn from my mistakes, what works, what doesn't work. Remember, my big takeaway is don't overbuy. Put in there what you want to put in there. And another reason why we were talking about the vendors that I'm using online, the Aquarium Plants factory a lot of time does buy two, get one free. And I just want to caution you, when you do that, make sure you buy the plant you're buying, you match it with other plants, if you're going to buy more than one, that all are the exact same price. If you buy a plant that's $18 and you think, oh, I'm going to buy two and I'll get one free, and then you put a plant in there that's $7, no, the plants that'll be free will be the $7 plants. So my rule of thumb on when you do the buy two, get one free on their website, you only buy plants in that order that gets you the equal amount on every single one of them. And what I will do, as soon as I get to the free shipping, I close that order off. And if I want to do another order where I'm doing the cheaper plants, I will do it the same way. So that's my big takeaway. Another thing is, the nice thing between Boost and APF, they don't have a lot of duplicate plants. They carry different species on both websites, especially when it comes down to my favorite, which is Boost. So sometimes the reason why I'm ordering from APF is because they have a variety and a color in a Boost that I want that Boost does not have on their website. So that's just another takeaway there. So I hope this helps. See you next time, either up in the air or on the next video upload. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.